Hi, and welcome to Thursday Demo Day. I'm Annette. I am going to show you how to cut 2.5 inch binding. There's three widths of binding that you could cut. There's 2 1/4, so it ends up to be 1 1/4. You can cut 2.5, and so it ends up to be 1.5. Or you could cut, which I use on my flannel quilts, is 2 3/4. So I've got my lovely ruler. I love it for my binding because it's 3.5 inches. And all you have to worry about is just having 1 inch hang over and cut, push it aside, line up the other one, walk your fingers, and cut. And then we're going to move over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how to do your 45-degree angle, because you don't need a ruler to do bindings. I know that's not a good thing for me to say, but you don't need gizmos. You don't need gadgets. I'm going to show you some shortcuts that work awesome. Okay, so have your two pieces overlapping each other and just take it up and keep going for whatever length you need for your quilt. The new Oh So Little iron is really cool because it stands on its end now. So, and it also has an auto shut off feature, which this original Mini didn't have. So I am really liking my new little one. So I always have them on my ironing station, and I usually have them wrapping so I can do all these guys at the same time. So you just press it, and it probably is not going to stay because it's not warmed up yet. There it goes. And it has a light too. Then trim it. And those scissors are not going to work. So we're going to use our rotary cutter. Press it down and then fold it in half. Can you see the little light? I like that little feature. That's on the new one too. So just press it. Okay. And then once you get the whole thing pressed, you can sew. We're going to make this a little quicker, so I'm only going to press what I need for the first step to show you. Then I'm going to grab my little quilt, take off my bunny tail, and what I'm going to do is I am going to start sewing right about here. Move my needle over to 1/4. And then I have a little ruler. It's a Dritz measuring guide with a 1/4 inch, and you can probably see all my little nicks. I use it all the time for my bindings. And I put my fingernail at the edge, and the ruler goes up against my fingernail. Then I back tack Make sure I have a 1/4 inch there. Yeah, I could use the cutter, but I don't usually use it, so I'm not. Then what you do is flip it, leave about a 1/16 of an inch over. So you make your 45-degree turn, and then sew that down. So when you're done, what you do is you've got a perfect corner. And I'll show that when I'm on my finished one. So what I do when I've got it all sewed down, I fold this back and I fold the other piece. And I usually have had my iron shut off. I kid you not, this is what I do. While I'm sewing on my binding, my iron has automatically shut off because I'm doing a bigger quilt. And what I do is I fold these guys so they match. And I have it sitting my sewing table, and I have a piece of plexiglass on my sewing table because my machine sits down. So I just drop my iron, because it's warm, onto my binding right on top of the plexiglass, and I haven't melted it yet. Haven't melted it. And I've been doing it like that for years. So now that you've got your crisp corner, you fold that out. You put this one on top, and then you fold it out, and I don't even move my needle. I just take it to the machine. I didn't leave myself enough room to flip it. And sew across that. See, it's perfectly. And then we're going to sew it down after my nice assistant brings me a pair of scissors, and hopefully they cut fabric. You can repress if you want. I typically don't. I just wing it. Drop your presser foot. Sew it down. So on this one, then I don't pin. I don't. Some people use clips. I do own the clips. I have my little pins. I just pin because I'm a righty, so I am pinning like a right-handed person. And then, so I pin to hold it, and then I do my corner. And it matches up perfectly. So the key is that when you're sewing your binding, you make sure you leave about not even a 1/16 of an inch. You just let it hang over just enough so you have enough to turn it, so you get that perfect mitered corner every time. And I do know how to hand sew bindings on. I don't have time. So I perfected how to do this. I don't know, probably about 10 years ago at this point. And it just works so slick. And you just sew it. And it, some people do sew it the correct way, and then they machine sew it from the back. And but you've got to, when you do that, you've got to make sure your binding is big enough so that when you top stitch it, because you're going to top stitch it from the top, so you run right along the edge where you sewed. So it would be like this. You would sew right along this edge with your sewing machine, and but it's reversed. So I'm okay with the way it looks. So, and I haven't had any of my customers complain about it, because if they ask me to do their binding, that's how I do it. So thank you for joining me today. And next week will be bias binding sewed on by hand. So see you next week.